Hey everyone, welcome to the Americana Station podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I have my buddy Afton Wolfe on the podcast today, talking about some new singles that are going to turn into a EP or record. And those are out now. You can stream those on your favorite streaming platform. You can also purchase them on Bandcamp. Check out aftonwolfe.com to also take a look at those. But we'll get started with Afton in just a minute, but I just want to let you know that it's actually, as of today, when this releases, 1 week until my new record comes out, Tioga Titan. It comes out on the 21st. If you visit willpayneharrison.com/store, you can check out the pre-sales on those records. If you buy anything up until the day of the album release, it will come with a free signed 8x10. So go pick up my new record, pick up that sweet merch. I got some shirts, some hats. I even have some stuff on sale. I've got some Living with Ghosts shirts that got a spooky ghost on them, some cartoon Will Payne Harrisons, and some other assorted stuff like mugs. So go check out my website. Please pre-order the record. Make sure you pre-save it if you're a streamer. And I'm really excited. If you are listening to this before the 21st, I will be playing at the Basement with my co-host, India Ramey. So we'll both be playing that night. I'm super excited about that. So please come support us at the Basement here in Nashville, Tennessee. Veronica Stanton, who has also been on this show before, will be opening as a duo. So you can check out some amazing podcast people at this show. Without further ado, let's get into Afton Wolfe.
Walked a step behind her. In her mind, her soul's a thunderbird, eaten by coyotes in the desert by the drinking water.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Americana Station podcast. Today on the podcast, I have Afton Wolfe. Afton recently released a couple of singles and is doing a few more coming up soon. Yeah. So one of them was a cover. I know that, right? Back in, I think it was January now, I did a cover of Ooh La La. Yeah.
Faces song, one of the greatest songs ever.
And that was with Brett Stewart?
Yeah, it was at Brett Stewart's studio, Wirebird Productions, and it was a duet with one of my heroes and friends, Carrie Hudson, and a bunch of other of my friends. One of them was Mike Stokes on the bass, and then Irakli and Dan, Irakli Gabriel, Dan Seymour, Daniel Seymour, Rebecca Weiner-Tompkins, Dylan Warneck, Carrie's daughter Anna, Katrina Miller. Sorry, Katrina. I think that was it.
All-star East Nashville cast.
Yeah. No, well, it was fun. I had Anana Kay come over with her camera, and she's just a great filmmaker, and she filmed the entire recording, and it was just the video is just kind of 5-minute smile with me and my favorite people singing one of my favorite songs. So it was really nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, working with Brett is just fantastic too. He's great.
He's great.
Making you feel comfortable, and the room is always great. I haven't been to his new studio, but...
Yeah, I think he's basically just transplanted. I never went to his old one, but I've been to the new one a few times now because I did some more recording, and I'm doing some more recording there now. So, but no, I love Brett, and congratulations to Brett and Rosemary on there.
They're going to have a baby.
Yeah, they're going to have a baby, little baby Brett.
When is that coming?
I knew that answer, and I don't anymore. I want to say late fall, early winter.
Oh, okay.
But
Brett's been practicing the dad jokes for years, so he's going to nail it.
He's absolutely adept at the dad jokes. No, he's going to kill. But then after that, another thing I did recording with Brett. I know some secrets about Brett, and I'm blackmailing him for production work and engineering stuff. So if he knows what's good for him, he'll keep the tap going. But No, and then I did Late Night Radio and So Purple over there, which just came out at the end of May. So those are the last couple of things that have come out, and that was kind of a like that's part one or act one of a 3-act release. It's going to culminate in probably February of 2023.
It's going to turn into an album?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying something a little new, to keep the content out there, and you're a songwriter, and you know how difficult it is to plan these releases and stuff. So I'm kind of trying to do this as an as I go thing, but also put it together as a physical and a full concept later. But in the meantime, do small digital releases. And the single with Carrie was cool. It was a one-off because it was a cover and it was a duet. Ooh la la. But for these next ones, I'm going to do them 2 at a time because I grew up, with cassette singles and 45s. And I mean, you got to give people 2 songs, an A side, a B side.
Right.
So that's kind of
it's a good way.
Idea here.
If you hate the A side, at least you got the B side.
Exactly.
You didn't totally waste your money. Yeah.
But you can't overwhelm them. I don't think. I think that as much as I love albums and as much as I love to go through an entire album, I think there is an argument that it's hard to keep people's attention for 10 songs these days. All at once. So.
Yeah, it is, and I've noticed that like people now that are becoming fans of my music are going back and listening to those songs that no one listened to.
Right.
But, if you look at the top plays on like any of my streaming platforms, it's like the same like 3 or 4 songs that they all gravitate towards.
It's usually the newest stuff, or it's the ones that pop up the first because they've got more plays or something. And it's good and fine. I mean, like I say, I prefer to listen to an album all the way through, but I don't always, and I got to confess that. I got to admit that myself. I mean, there's so much music that comes out all the time.
I think that's where I'm going wrong because I just have been releasing records, and that's because I consume records. So like when someone puts out a record, I listen to the thing front to back several times. Yeah. I don't listen to singles, and so I think I just made the assumption, and it's not true.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm the same way, but it's, what happens with me so much is when I find a record or two, like, I will not stop listening to it. Yeah. And it's all I listen to. And meanwhile, there's thousands of songs coming out every day. Yeah. And I just kind of catch them as they fly by me. But I haven't been able to put the Superwolves album down for over a year now, and between that and the new Kendrick Lamar, like I've really been listening to those 2 albums for a lot of my time. And then something will come across as 1 or 2 songs off of an album, and I'll save it, and I will get to it one day, but God knows when,
I think the only thing that I have when it comes to singles in the Americana format is that, like, I get pitched a lot for the playlist and stuff like that, and you'll listen to one and you'll just be like, no. And like, then it's like no forever. So that's the only thing that kind of sucks about singles because, someone will pitch a song and I'm like, oh yeah, that's not the vibe. And the next one could be, but I don't know.
Yeah, because you didn't get the album. But I mean, if you listen to every album, I mean,
I couldn't
never
listen to
see
every
a
album.
child.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
You'd never have any conversations with anyone you ever loved.
Right.
Which is problematic. But no, I mean, I get it. I mean, it's a tricky situation now because the supply keeps multiplying.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's the whole argument about the economics of music now. It's
right.
Like, I mean, I understand it, and I want more money for music too, but the supply keeps growing and the demand stays relatively static.
Right. So anyone who doesn't create a brand these days loses out because people are consuming brands.
Right.
Unfortunately.
I mean, that's true. And, you have a great chance of getting a record deal if you happen to be playing your song while a gaggle of squirrels attacks you and somebody's videotaping it. You get 90 million views on TikTok, and that's worth a record deal. If your song happens to be playing during it, then I'm sure there's some way to make some money from that. But I mean, there's, how to make money playing music is such a tough question to deal with because it's it's necessary to try to figure out the economics of it, but it also, to me, feels like it puts a lot of friction between what I'm trying to actually do with music, and that has nothing to do with money.
Right? Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
I play music to connect with people, and I would like to connect with more people, and it takes money to do that. And then there is a monetary reward for connecting with more people, presumably. I haven't seen it yet, even though I've connected with a few people. But, that's my goal, is to connect with people like you and do things like this, talk about music, connect with people like Mike, get together and play music.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing is to connect with people from the stage. So
I think that's the most authentic thing, and that's the reason.
It's the purest connection.
Yeah. I mean, people have different reasons for doing music, for sure. Some people just want to be famous and they have no other aspiration. But I think I'm on the same page with you, where it's like, it's about the connection. You write that song hoping that someone else that goes through that same shit is like, oh my God, there's someone else, or,
Absolutely.
Thinks the way you're like, this way that I think that's like a little bit different, that like, I tell my friend that and they don't get it, that like maybe somebody
that speaks your language.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. And that's, I mean, the people that want to be famous, they'll probably end up famous. It might be in some true crime way for some of them, or, Scoop Nashville's doing a hell of a job out there.
Or that Skittles guy, I don't know what his name is. The rapper guy with like the Skittle teeth and
sure,
I don't know.
Tekashi.
Yeah,
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah, you knew.
I keep up with I keep up with that with that a lot. He's a terrible rapper. But really good at being famous.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really good at being famous. Until he became infamous.
Right.
Which is
a snitch or whatever.
Yeah. That's a tough life there. But yeah, it's a curious question. Like we were talking before we started recording, I just got back from a 2-week tour, and other than gas prices, it was a wild success. We had a lot of great crowds. We had a lot of people that were really digging the music, and I think I was connecting with them on a way that maybe other people don't connect with them, and that's kind of my goal, is to find another door or window into connecting with people, because that's, I don't know, I guess that's what everybody's goal in this world is with every human interaction. But
where did you hit?
Music.
Did you go West Coast or
East Coast?
East Coast.
So Folk Alliance.
Yeah.
Did that for the first time, and that was a really fun experience with a lot of alcohol. I only fell once, and it was really because it was so dark and people had their guitar cases all over the floor, but I was pretty drunk too, so I left the room pretty quickly. I didn't get to see what anybody thought about that. But that was really fun. Met a lot of cool people and saw a lot of great music there. And that whole setup, have you been?
I've been to the main Folk Alliance. Was it the main one?
Yeah.
In Kansas City or whatever?
Yeah. In the hotel rooms and all that?
Yeah, I went to the Kansas City one probably like 2018, 19, something like that.
That was, the one before they stopped. Yeah, this was my first time, and I think it was the first one. I mean, obviously it was the first one back, and I think it was a little bit less attended, because it's a bit of an older crowd. I think maybe a little bit more high risk for closed gatherings, and that is a closed gathering, and they had everybody walking around. Don't want to get into that, but it was I mean, there was, you were breathing everybody else's air there in those hotel rooms. But that was a really fun time. Got back for a couple of days, did a show at the 5 Spot, the show in Louisville, then came back home, and then we went all the way to Buffalo after Memorial Day, and then we went from Buffalo across New York State, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and then down the East Coast. So it was fun, but I kind of consider that entire thing a tour, because I only had like 3 days off from the start of Folk Alliance until we played Knoxville.
And you played full band. Yeah, full
band on the tour. Yeah, I took Seth Fox, my Swiss Army knife, who plays the sax, the flute, I say he plays the garage sale, because it looks like he's just got like a, like a divorcee's ex-husband's music shop on the stage. But guitar, sax, clarinet, flute, shaker, backup vocals, block of wood sometimes, whatever he can get his hands on, he'll play, and he'll do it well. Yeah, we got to get him on the saw. He hasn't practiced enough for it yet. He's too busy shedding to play saxophone with 19 other people in town this weekend.
Some Dead tribute he was telling me about. Yeah,
he played the Dead thing with Mike Miz. He's got 2 gigs today. They're both downtown, so they'll be well attended, and he won't miss me. I wanted to take Mike to see Seth play, but we're not going downtown. But yeah, and then Madison George, fantastic young drummer who just got to town from Michigan. That's the only way I can usually afford great drummers is when they've just got here.
I know that trick. Yeah, I know that trick well. Yeah,
I've gotten a lot of great musicians off Craigslist because they just got to town and they don't know what else to do. And
they need something.
Tom Waits and absolutely.
Yeah, they've heard of Tom Waits.
No, I met Daniel Seymour. I was the first guy to have Daniel Seymour in Nashville back in 2008.
Yeah,
before he played with Tommy or David Olney or Killer D's or any of those people. He was playing with me, and I think I still get a little bit of a price break because of that. And then Ryan Case, my good friend and one of my favorite songwriters, came with us and played bass, and it was a really fun tour. Like I say, everything but the gas prices were a success.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. That's got to be insane because I was telling you, I'm planning a tour. This will probably come out after it releases with a bud from Oklahoma. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to do this because we're not really like lining up to where we could just jump in one car together. So it's going to be.
Yeah. Well, no, you definitely want to keep it down to as few vehicles as possible.
I know.
And we rented a car, and thank God that we rented it and that I reserved some of the hotel rooms mostly gratitude towards the many people who let us crash at their places because that was a lifesaver. We did.
Yeah.
We started with 11 gigs and lost 2 of them because of staffing issues and just the general falling apart of the American society. But I think out of the 9 we played, we had a place to stay at all but like 3 or 4 of them with friends and things like that. So thank you to those people first and foremost. But
that's amazing. Yeah, a lot of what I've had to do is just like reach out crowdsourcing via social media and stuff like that. Because I can't at this point I can't really unless I'm solo afford a hotel room every night.
To put 4 people up for a night, to do that as a solo artist. There's a yin and a yang to being a solo artist, right? Like you can, you don't have to deal with the drama of the, pseudo romantic relationship that a band seems to be in, which is just, it's beyond anything I could ever deal with ever again.
You got 3 or 4 other girlfriends.
I don't work well with others, I guess.
Yeah.
So I think it was Louis Armstrong that said, I get along with all my band members. I pay them,
Exactly.
There's no drama here.
Well, it's funny because when I moved here, I had the band mentality, which I think most people do. You probably did too, coming from Mississippi. Yeah. And it was so bizarre to me that everyone was just a hired gun. Like, why don't you want to do it together? And then I got it. I'm like, oh, it's better for everyone.
It's
literally.
So tough to be a band. Some of my good buddies, Cordova's, they're doing it and they're doing great. But the discipline and the organization and just the sacrifices that those guys make to do that is, it is. It's something that's beyond me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I got a couple of guys, that I've mentioned already here that, I trust. That if they don't have anything better to do, that they'll do it with me every time, even if I can't pay them as much as I want to. But they expect to get paid.
Right. Yeah.
And if they can't do it, I shut up. I do it by myself or I do it with somebody else.
Right.
It's, there's no personal feelings involved in it other than, the personal feeling of connection when we do get to play together.
Well, it's also, I think, too, there's a weird dynamic in a band where there could be a gig where I'm like, no, fuck this, I'm not doing it. But then the other 3 guys are like, no, we're doing this. But then there's another time where they did something that they said, fuck this, I'm not doing it. And it's like, well, it's the greater good. We're all sacrificing together.
Well, it's trying to get 4 people on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, and so
It's-
there's a
you
lot
know,
of compromise, and they
yeah.
expect the compromise from you. Whereas, like, if
But I wrote the damn songs.
if I go on a tour by myself,
do what I tell you to do.
and I don't want to play this gig, then it's fuck it. I'm not
See,
playing
all
this
my
gig.
favorite bands were all like solo projects that just had band names anyway. You know,
Yeah.
like the Lemonheads. I mean, that's just Evan Dando and a bunch of hired guns, you know?
Right.
But solo, I mean, the other freedom of solo to me, the main reason it appeals to me is because I don't sound like, you know, my songs don't have a lot of consistent thematic threads, you know, like each song is kind of like, you know, an album is a bouquet of wildflowers, and if I'm lucky, it looks good together, you know.
Yeah.
Try to coordinate it that way, but I'll do a gospel song, a funky trip hop song, a country song, a blues song. And if you do that as a band, it's tough to build that brand that you were talking about before.
Right.
It's easier to build that brand of unpredictable and maybe schizophrenic, maybe just batshit crazy, you know, when you're a solo artist. And my favorite people like Beck and Tom Waits and Elvis Costello, like that was kind of that's a thread that those three, and a lot of
Yeah.
other of my favorites like Fiona Apple and Bjork. You know, I mean, you don't know what they're going to do.
Well,
and
even
I
the
would love
Dead. We
that.
were talking about the Dead earlier. Like,
Yeah.
are they doing bluegrass? Are they doing country? Are they doing jam band?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know.
Those guys had such a chemistry and magic together, you know, and I think that's one of those things that romanticizes that. Was that I'm not saying it was easier to be a band back then, but everybody was kind of figuring that kind of thing out at the same time back then.
Yeah.
They were living in the houses. There was a more communal thing, and there wasn't the supply that there is now.
Right.
There just wasn't. I mean, because there couldn't have been. Like,
there's
that's
still
not how
not
time
back
works,
there,
right?
you
The
know?
band. Well, then that's the thing about the
smaller
supply of music
towns.
is that the Grateful Dead and the band are still out there.
Oh, okay.
Like every record that gets released is
Yeah.
still competing with songs from the Big Pink.
Yep.
You know, and American Beauty and stuff. You're still competing with that. That supply still exists in the market.
Yeah.
So it just wasn't the same 50 years ago.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I thought you were talking about just generally like back then, like when you were in Mississippi. So I was like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely more communal in the smaller towns, but I get what you're saying.
For sure, yeah. Well,
even
yeah,
back in
that
the,
too,
yeah.
but yeah. Well, and you know, the fact that, you know, the portals weren't as open with the internet and streaming and things like that
Yeah.
meant that your local scenes could be more vibrant. Like nobody knew who the biggest band in Hattiesburg was, but they were making good money and they had a good fan base in the, you know, Pine Belt area. King Conga, you know
Yeah.
King Conga.
I do not know King
He's from
Conga.
Louisiana, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, you know, you're from Louisiana and you didn't hear King Conga, but they were the biggest thing in Hattiesburg in the 90s because there wasn't streaming to compete against them, you know, and people went to their shows and things like that. So
Yeah, and I mean that's like in Lafayette, you know, for the 12 or 15 years I was there, you know, there were the bands that a lot of them were like more Cajun because and outside of that region, you know, if you say
Right.
Steve Riley or Fofele or people are like what Beausoleil, maybe Beausoleil because they're pretty big on NPR and stuff like that, but
Right.
like no one's gonna be like, oh yeah, I love them,
yeah,
but
not
like
unless
they're gonna
from
sell out
Lafayette.
every room. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Do you know Nick Bodwin?
Not
Runner of the Woods?
I know Run of the Woods. Yes,
Yeah,
yes, I do
Nick
know
is
him.
the,
Okay.
yeah. He's got one of my favorite songs is Acadiana Girl. Somebody
Yeah.
get me back to life, get me out of Lafayette.
Yeah, I was there for his album or that single release. It was at American Legion. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Nick. But yeah, no, absolutely. You know, that's it's Carrie Hudson is another example to me, I think, of a very underappreciated artist that I thought was the biggest rock star in the world when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I thought Blue Mountain was the biggest rock band in the world when I was 15 years old. I was sneaking into towels to see him. And the fact that they're not, you know, that he's not headlining Americana Fest every year just shows the disconnect between like what I understood as like
Right.
the alternative and Americana and country rock and stuff, you know. I mean, I thought it was Uncle Tupelo,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
Whiskey
it was.
Town and Blue Mountain. I thought that
Yeah.
was it, you know. So, c'est la vie.
Well, and it is weird kind of going off of that. The Texas is like one of the only scenes that is a little insular, but also just like
Yeah, it projects. It's
Yeah, it projects.
But it's had like kind of a lasting legacy quality to it.
It's
like
so huge.
everybody's come back to Austin,
Yeah.
to find out the history of everything that happened after Jerry Jeff got there, or before after Waylon and
But also if you ask someone on the street who Guy Clark or Jerry Jeff Walker is, they're not going to know.
Oh no, you go downtown. This has become kind of a sadistic pastime for me when I have a relative or a friend or something that comes into Nashville and they want to go downtown and hear music. Like, just to make myself angry, I'll request a Jerry Jeff song or a Guy Clark song or a Townes Van Zandt song. And I mean, I'm down to throw $100 to the one who can do it. Hadn't happened.
That's funny.
Hadn't happened.
I was playing downtown.
They can do Wagon Wheel.
And we were talking earlier, I have 5 like anecdotes. This is probably one of them I've said on the podcast before, but I was playing downtown and I was playing like Hank Williams Sr. and like George Jones and shit like that. Right. And then this guy comes up and he gives me like a 20 and asks me to play Sounds of Silence by Disturbed. And I was like,
you are not paying attention, my dude.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, that's Simon and Garfunkel. And he was like, who? And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, we were we did we did one of the shows on the tour, and I'm not going to say at which place it was and whatever, but this very nice inebriated lady had visited this place from Florida on her vacation, and she said, I want you to play Wagon Wheel. She said, I came all the way here from Cocoa Beach, Florida to hear Wagon Wheel. I was like, you came to the wrong show. Yeah. You poorly planned your vacation.
Right. How long did you plan this? Oh, my God.
You got to do a little research.
Yeah.
But
that's like that's amazing how fast that became, like Freebird and Mustang Sally, and
it's a great song. I mean, I've got nothing against Wagon.
I know, but it's just funny. In the 10 years, it's become that massive. It's like
true.
All these.
No, it's crazy. It's credit to the songs that Bob Dylan decides to steal.
Yeah. It is a great song. It's a great song.
Yeah,
but
and it's got that kind of quality, like Plastic Jesus, where people just keep adding on verses and shifting it around and reinterpreting it. And half the drunk bachelorettes on downtown Broadway don't know the right lyrics anyway, so it'll morph into some other blob of lyrical nonsense later. Yeah,
but play Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, and they're going to nail it. I'll tell you what.
You know every word.
Every word. Yeah.
She's high above the world, high above the ashes of the tray that he handcrafted for that old truck driving man.
Now you got to hit places. You got to hit them a couple of times. That's why the next time I do a bigger tour, it'll probably be going back to the places I just went,
Yeah.
I mean, it makes more sense than going and taking the nut punch of empty spots in the Midwest to start the process all over, because by the time I'm able to get back to the East Coast, it'll probably be a little too late,
Yeah, and it's you easily forget,
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't built your brand up enough.
Right. No, you got to, what is it? They used to say the rule of 7s, right? For marketing and stuff. People got to see your name 7 times.
Yep.
It's got to be 7 million now with with all the information that's available. Like at least 7,000. The rule of 7 is absurd. But it's probably accurate for like touring a spot and like building a crowd in a region or in a town or a state or something. You got to hit it 7 times.
Well, because nobody gives a shit about you until they connect with you. So
absolutely,
they see your name a few times and then maybe they talk to you at a show and then they come back and they bring a friend or whatever and you start growing from there. But or you do something stupid that gets you do a viral tweet and then everybody
oh yeah, you get lucky. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't fall on many people, and it's they're usually a lot younger and cuter than me. So
right?
That's fine. That's
exactly.
Great. I'm not, and that's the thing is, again, it's the purpose of doing this is to connect with the people that you harmonize with, the people that you're on the wavelength with, and if there was a formula for that, if there was, some computer program, some Python language or something you could type in to make that happen automatically, I'd pay for it.
Yeah.
And I'd be there.
Yeah. It's hard to find your, I think when you start and you're not a grizzled veteran and you're just starting out and you're wet behind the ears, you think that everyone has to be a fan of you. And it takes a long time to learn that it's not everyone's going to be a fan of you. And it's a very narrow, like the more you narrow it, the better you're doing yourself justice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No, you got to find the people that are on your wavelength. That's a pipe dream that everybody's going to dig what you're doing. But, if you do it for the right reasons and you do it with passion and you keep your eyes open on stage, then I think that, at least for me, as long as I do that consistently, I turn around and there are more people buying.
Yeah.
So that's all you can hope for. Just a chance to keep making more of them.
You did some Americana Fest stuff last year that was kind of catching some wind.
Yeah.
You did Brooklyn Bowl. That was with Cordova's.
Yeah.
And then you did another gig. What was it was that thing with Adrian and Meredith, right?
Yeah, we did a little one of the day party things at Fat Cat Slim's. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Did that go under?
Yeah, well, they I don't think it went under. I think they just closed down. The owner is a friend. He's a good dude. I think he just wanted out of the business and not to get too into that. But that place has been tough, man. The parking there is tough.
Yeah.
And that's always been the curse of that. Yeah, it's like it's not quite downtown, but it's not quite not.
Yeah.
And, the parking, just kind of the accessibility from the street, it's like right across the street's Party Fountain. So whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and it was a really cool spot, and I hope that they put something cool there again. I just don't know if a bar is the best thing to do, because Manny had a great bar there. Like he had set it up really, really nice, and it's just a really hard spot to get people to go to. And I think there's just something about it being uphill and us all being fat, lazy fucks that just like automatically like turn people off.
Right.
It's like everything was downhill from that. Like,
I'm not walking up a hill.
No, I'll drive to Frugal, but I'm not walking to Frugal. No. Crazy. So maybe that's it. I don't know. But yeah, we did that. I did something with Nomad and Mary at their studio over in East Nashville. It was really fun. It was more of a chilled down thing. Geez, I want to say I did something else, but that was a tough week for me. I had some personal things happen that week, and it was all kind of a blur. But the performances are fun. That's what I do music for. It's another reason I do music is to ignore reality for a few minutes on stage.
Right. Yeah, you get that. Once you get that high, it's hard to stop.
Well, and if you got a chance to just give yourself an excuse to get into the spirit world for 45 minutes and connect with people and speak the language of love and stuff, then why would you focus on the bad things, while you're doing that?
Right.
When they're pretty much impossible to avoid in the rest of your life. But for, anywhere from an hour to 4 hours, when somebody lets me do it, I can ignore it. Yeah, no, Americana Fest was fun. We're doing another day party this year. Hopefully, hopefully doing a couple of things, but I don't want to put anybody on the spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I was talking to your publicist, and they were saying you might be doing some stuff.
Yeah, that thing's going to happen, but I don't know if he'll let me announce it yet. But it's going to be a really cool day party. Did he tell you what it was going to be?
Yeah. Well, I can cut it out if...
Sure, if he says it's not good.
Yeah.
No, we're going to be doing a day party at freaking Arnold's.
Yeah, he told me. Yeah.
We're going to be doing a day party at Arnold's, man. The greatest restaurant in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The Meat and Three. Because Khalil and them have started doing Arnold's After Dark now, where they have like a cool cocktail bar.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Yeah, they make a really good old-fashioned and a really good Manhattan. And that's not something you expect from your average Meat and Three.
Yeah.
And it's still like the busiest lunch place ever. So I think the Thursday of Americana Fest at noon, like while all the chaos is going on, we're going to be playing Americana songs, whatever the hell those are, over the sounds of clinking trays and people crunching to the marrow on some fried chicken.
That'll be fun. Yeah, I'm excited for this year's Americana Fest. I didn't do really much last because I was still kind of just trying to stay away from everything. And
well, you got a young child. Yeah,
I mean
exactly. That's a fragile thing to be like. No, I'm going to go play some country songs with some strangers.
Yeah, she was only like 6 months at the time too, so it was like, I'm going to stay away from that.
No, I wouldn't have done anything if I had that going on.
So yeah, you did the tour, and then you're releasing. When's the next 2 singles that you're releasing?
So Act 2 of this 3-act thing, I think it's going to culminate in 6 songs, which my songs are a little longer, tend to be in the 4 to 6 minute range a lot of times, which apparently is it's like reading a novel these days for song length.
God, it is.
But I think 6 songs is going to be a good position to put myself in for a 12-inch. So the goal is that Act
38
2,
minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. 38 at 45, right? Okay. Which is the better sound quality. You want 45 instead of 33 1/3 from what everybody's learning. And it is true. The 45 is a higher fidelity on good record players. So yeah, the next 2 songs are going to come out at the end of September, I believe, and I didn't write either of them, but I'm singing them both. One of them is a song by another one of my Mississippi heroes, who I thought was the biggest rock star in the world when I was younger, Mark Mann. I'm doing one of Opal Dial's old songs. And then another one is a song written by Ryan Case, who played bass with me, and I said was one of my favorite songwriters. I'm doing one of his songs that he's never put out on another project because he doesn't like to record waltzes. I don't know. That's not a fact. Don't. I'm just making that up.
It is hard to record waltzes. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's hard to write waltzes.
I love 3/4, 6/8 stuff. I mean, I don't really know the difference on a theory basis between 6/8 and 3/4 because I'm more of a math guy, and I think of them as the same thing. They could easily be 1/20, 1/60ths for me. Because
I think it has to do with the note lengths and stuff like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take your word for it.
I had a minor in music. I know what I'm talking about, or something.
I had a minor in physics. That's why I reduce all the fractions.
You reduce all the fractions. Yeah. Well, I think it just has something to do with like in 6/8, those like quarter notes.
Oh, believe me, this has been explained to me.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't sunk yet. You're welcome to do it again. It's fine. You might be the straw that breaks this camel's back.
It really, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. It's just a term, 3/4, 6/8.
Exactly.
You're still playing the same thing.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah.
Not really, but basically.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
That's the minor in music.
I mean, it's just, I think it's where the chords change and the length, the duration of the notes and stuff like that make it either 3/4.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of my songs are what I think are 4/4, and then somebody will tell me no, that's 6/8. You're just counting it wrong. It's like, man, that makes perfect sense to me.
I've done that before. Yeah.
I mean, you can make it 4/4, right? As long as it's 8.
Yeah.
You can find a way to perceive it as 4/4.
7/8's a fun one. The weirdest one to me is 5/4.
Yeah.
That one is the hardest one to consistently do a whole song in 5/4. You might be able to do a bar, you might do
Don't Let Me Down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's 7/8 and then it's 5/4 and then it's 7/8 or whatever. Right. But a solid 5/4 song, which there's a Radiohead song on In Rainbows that's fully 5/4, and it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's that one that starts with the drum loop that one's in 5/4, and it's so weird. Because it's basically just 4/4 with an extra beat
every time.
So then it comes eventually, mathematically, comes back around.
Of course,
but then it's
every
off.
20 beats.
Yeah,
It's common denominators. Yeah. No, yeah. See, I don't ever think about things like that when I'm writing music. Like I want to make a song that's 7/8 or 5/4 or something. Like I'm never trying to trip myself up. But a lot of my songs end up being 6/8 songs, 3/4 songs, stuff like that. I think it's probably got a lot to do with like Baptist hymns. And like the cadence that I write my lyrics sometimes are in that kind of almost limericky kind of cadence. And sometimes I'll write the music after I find the lyrics or,
Yeah, when it's really lyric heavy, sometimes you just need an extra note, like one bar or whatever to add in that extra note that makes sense. And sometimes it's just weird. There was one I did on in Living with Ghosts, which I did with Brett Stewart. And it was a gospel song, so maybe it is something with gospel. And it was weird because I thought it was like just 3/4 or something like that, and it turned out it was like 3/4, and then there was like a 5/4 every like.
Oh yeah, no, that definitely
like
happens. That. Yeah, that definitely happens, and it's really like. Yeah, it is. It's like adding those two extra. It's like adding a 2/4 to a 3/4. That definitely happens in some gospel turnarounds for sure. I don't think it's ever happened in any of my songs. I don't think I'm smart enough for that to accidentally happen to me. And
I think that it was because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just cut it short.
And Brett told you, it's like,
and
hey,
then
look what you did
the whole
here.
band's like, why are we fucking this up every single take? And then Brett figured it out, like, oh, this last bar. The
Don't
turnaround
trust
is
him at all, man. Don't trust him.
Don't trust him.
He's making the math up as he goes.
Well, I mean, you got the digital like interface that's telling you that it's one bar short. So it's not that he's smart. It's just that he could see what's going on.
He knows how to read his equipment. Yeah, yeah. I don't, which is why I'm recording in his place.
Right. Yeah.
No, he's got a great ear. He's a fantastic talent and a wonderful human. He's going to be a great father. Don't know anything about his math skills. So, genuinely nothing. Yeah, but it's not something that I've ever done on purpose with time signatures. I do love trying to like squeeze different rhythms in between themselves. Like I love thinking about rhythms as arpeggios, and writing them that way instead of like grooves that have pockets and things like that. So
yeah,
I think that's why some of my stuff ends up sounding kind of 6/8-ish, like Steel Wires. I think, I always thought of as a 4/4 song. And, I think Mike was the one who said like, no, this is a 6/8 song. It's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. You're just counting like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where I was counting 1, 2, 3.
Oh, 4. Like it was really slow. Yeah,
exactly.
Do you start with lyrics typically or melody or?
I've in the last couple of years, especially, I've come to really think about songwriting as discovery more so than creation. So I've kind of stopped like sitting down and like trying to do it. Like I just kind of try to pay attention, and I would say that it's pretty evenly split what I find first. Sometimes I'll find that lyrical hook first or that lyrical theme, something like that first. A lot of times I'll find that melody first, and a lot of times I'll find that rhythm first. Probably the lyrics more because I'm a really verbal person and I don't shut up sometimes. So I'll accidentally say something clever that has like a melodic kind of tinge to it. And I'm like,
I need to
write that down really quick. That'll be great. But it's discovery, I mean, Shakespeare found it all first in the English language a long time ago, and we're all just kind of like, looking around for what he left behind.
Yeah.
And the a lot of people found it in between Billy and me. But yeah, typically I'll start with lyrics first. I would say that's probably 50% of the time. And then the other 50% is between melody and rhythm, probably. That'd be my guess.
And do you mostly write on guitar or like piano or?
Piano and guitar. Yeah. I got a Ratman, little Casio keyboard not long ago, and that's been really fun to write on because it's got very few notes and you can mess around with all these different like 1992 rhythms. They all sound like, like the beginning of a Belle Biv DeVoe song, and you kind of mess with those tempos and stuff. And, when you slow a 1992 Casio Rap Man down to like the slowest the beat can be, the rhythms are really like arpeggios. They're not like grooves and pockets and stuff. So I've started writing a little bit on that. One of my favorite things to write on is harmonica. Like if I'm just looking for a melody, I'll just mess around with that randomly, turn it upside down, and see if I can find a melody there. But I think my favorite thing to write on, or my most effective thing to write on, where I find the most stuff is piano.
Piano.
Yeah, it's just so much more visual.
Yeah, for sure.
Just when you can see where you're going. I think a lot easier than I can. And I've been playing guitar a lot longer than piano. Yeah. But piano is just so much more visual.
I definitely like the idea of writing a song on an instrument you don't know as well, because I think that you might open up something
exactly
with your writing style.
Exactly. No, I mean, when I was in school, I got a cheap ukulele, and it was really fun to me, like, how much I could do with like 2 and 3 note chords, right? And how those melodies really like resonated more than just like strumming a guitar had done before that, and expanded the way I played guitar. But it also like I was able to find a lot of cool melodies on the ukulele.
I find that I find notes like, so if I'm just playing guitar and I'm playing the chords, I always find like the melody in the notes that I'm playing. And sometimes when you simplify it, like ukulele or something like that, you can really find melody that's not even there because it's only 2, like you said, 2 or 3 notes.
Yeah, because that space that's opened up, that's the whole concept of shape and photography, where the picture ends and your mind creates the space on the outside of the picture. Like, when you're only listening to 2 or 3 notes, you can start to hear those harmonics in your imagination,
And you're not like, I sometimes I trap myself when you're just playing 1-4-5 or something like that, and you're singing on the third, or the fifth or whatever, or the root, whatever you're singing on, because the way that especially country music moves, you move in parts, which is not dissimilar to the old Baptist hymns you were talking about.
Sure.
So you're kind of moving in those parts. And it's like 1-4-5. Maybe there's like a 2 or something or in there, but you're very much like kind of almost trapping yourself into those melodies that are already kind of there. Yeah. Whereas like whenever you play on a different instrument and it's only a few notes, sometimes you're not as trapped into those like pre-made. Exactly. Melodies.
No, you can hear those other harmonies and stuff that you can hear those other melodies and those connector notes and stuff. Yeah. Totally agree. A lot of my favorite songs that I've written, that happened by mistake. Like my favorite parts of them were like little goofs that I'd done because I was trying to play this instead of that.
I had this weird thing that's happened to me multiple times, like at least 3 or 4 times, to the point of where I want to write a song about how it was like a premonition of thing that ended up happening, and people would literally be like, "Did you write that song about this?" And I'm like, "No, that thing happened after I wrote the song." To the point where I want to write a song about where I just make a bunch of money and see if that works.
Absolutely. No, well, when the last time I was in, I took a little break from like actively, sincerely pursuing music. But back in 2008, when I first started as a solo artist, when I first started calling myself, when I first started just billing myself as Afton Wolfe, which is not my real name, by the way. It's my middle name. I mean, it's my real middle name, but.
Yeah, you told me that the first time I met you.
It's not what my victims call me.
His real first name is Jerry, everyone. Jerry Afton Wolfe.
But I was calling myself Afton Wolfe, and we were changing the name of the band every time, right? And I had kind of a similar situation where. This even actually goes back to the worst band name ever, which I'll tell the story of that after this. But I've had some weird luck with band names. We would call ourselves Afton Wolfe and the Somethings, and like And we changed it every time. So one time we were Afton, Wolfe, and the Long Distance Lovers because of some story somebody was telling during practice, and I was like trying to make the flyers at the same time. So, but then when we played the show, like completely unbeknownst and unplanned and whatever, like 2 out-of-town lovers of band members showed up to the show. Neither of mine, but it was just one of the weird coincidences, you know. And then we called ourselves Afton, Wolfe and the Ungodly Hours, and we played a show at the 5 spot, and like the power went out. And we ended up not getting started until like 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, you know, like midnight on a Tuesday. So, God, that's weird. You know, and then we were, God, what was another one? It happened a few different times, right? And one of them was like Afton, Wolfe and like the shameless debauchery or something. And like, it turned into a whole nightmare. I don't really want to get into the embarrassing story. But, like, because of a bunch of different factors, I got way too intoxicated and was not able to fulfill my obligations under the contract with the venue that I was performing at for the, it's something debaucherous, you know, loathsome idiot, whatever, band name. So we also used to do the Afton, Wolfe and the, you know, that actually all got started doing the Tom Waits tribute show that I do with Mary Sack every year. Mm-hmm. So I started doing that, you know, I'd call myself Afton, Wolfe and it would be some line from a Tom Waits song, like Afton, Wolfe and the Minneapolis Hookers, Afton, Wolfe and the Crestfallen Sidekicks, Afton, Wolfe and the Pesky Jumbas. But when I finally put it all together that I had some kind of magic power to like influence my fate by naming my band, there's a song called Clap Hands, and I called the band Afton, Wolfe and the Skinny Millionaires. Because that's one of the lines in there, you know. Tied to Gun Street Girl. Tied her to a tree with a skinny millionaire. So I called ourselves Afton, Wolfe with the Skinny Millionaires in hopes that I'd lose 20 pounds and make $1 million, but it didn't work out.
Didn't work out that time. That's when the luck starts. Yeah. It only works whenever it's bad things, I guess. I don't know.
Maybe. No, well, you know, the other thing is the worst band name in the world story, if you want to know that one. When I first moved to Nashville, I was in a band called The Relief Effort. And we put out 2 records. They're not easy to find, and that's not unintentional. I like the songs. I'm not a huge fan of the recordings of those 2 albums, and even less of a fan of the money I spent on those recordings of those 2 albums. But the songs are good. If you're one of those people that likes good songs and likes them recorded poorly, then, you know, look it up. It's called The Relief Effort. But The Relief Effort, clever name, you know, we're going to save everybody from God knows what. The first album comes out, and within a week, I think it was like 3 or 4 days later, Katrina happens.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So all this money we've put into it, and I mean, obviously the tragedy of Katrina, you know, and all the Good Job Brownie fun that happened there. But the words "The Relief Effort" are on the bottom ticker of every television screen in America, and here I've sunk, you know, what amounted to my, you know, mid-20s life savings into promoting this, and we look like total dicks, you know. Because people think we, like, you know, released it just because of that, like I can work that fast, but whatever. So we debate a lot about changing the name, but decide not to. For whatever reason. I mean, this is a long time ago. This is 2005, 4 or 5, something like that. And then we put out another record called At Your Mercy. It has a picture of the now closed Mercy Lounge, one of those metal stars that they used to have on the outside, probably still do, called At Your Mercy. And 3 days later, tsunamis down in Southeast Asia, like Thailand.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, all that. Like 2006, I think. All happens. So yeah, once again, the Relief Effort. Donate to the Relief Effort. Donate to the Relief Effort. Support the Relief Effort. Worst band name ever.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is the worst band name ever.
Worst band name ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buster Hyman and the Penetrators was a real band.
Maybe the Red Effort. Cross would be a pretty bad one too.
Right. Oh, I mean, I'm sure I could think of worse ones now. Think of worse ones to be. Can't think of any worse ones that were.
That's true. Afton, where are you heading next? Like, where's the next? Is it Americana
When's this
Fest
coming out?
Probably, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, probably in like a month or month and a half. So,
Okay.
So we're looking at like August.
So we're probably just following up with my wildly successful and crazy party that I had for, the Swill TV guys.
Yeah, Ryan and Katie.
Yeah, Ryan, Katie, and Ben. Yeah, I'm playing one of their parties Sunday, July 31st. One of their premieres. Ben's going to do a video for So Purple.
Nice.
With some footage from Ryan and Kevin, Flooded Sun, Liquid Light Show.
Oh, okay.
I've got dirt on all these people.
That's how you get it. I need dirt on these people.
That's so true, man. Spy camera is best investments I've ever made. So I'm probably just coming off of that and probably looking forward to our wild show at Arnold's, which is going to have a couple of really special guests. One of them should be Brian Wright. I may have to ask you to delete that, but you
just let me know. Yeah,
yeah. I'll tell you if I do. No, I think Brian's going to do it with us, and then I'm gonna be doing a lot of recording, getting ready for a release in February. I'm sure there'll be a couple of things that come up between now and then that I don't know about, but Americana Fest, and then the next thing after that is going to be Toto Santos with Cordovas and Brian Wright and Mark Ford and New Mangoes and King Corduroy, and that's just the best party in the world, man. Anybody who can possibly go to Toto Santos, Mexico, to the Tropic of Cancer Arts Festival, you should come. We're not going to miss you if you don't.
Yeah,
because there ain't no time for that. It's paradise, but you should come. It's brilliant.
That's amazing. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
And then, like I said, the release will be coming out in February, and then I'm already starting to work on another Northeast run for the spring of next year. So,
what's the website?
AftonWolfe.com. Yeah.
WOLFE.
WOLFE.
Yeah.
AF is in Frank for all the people that can't hear that. Who I talk to on the phone every day. AFTONWOLFE.com. Yeah. Afton Wolfe.
Man, thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. It's been a fun chat.
Yeah. A lot of editing.
A lot of editing.
Sweet. Surely you got enough to cut that into 4 minutes of quality stuff.
All right. That's it for this episode of Americana Station Podcast. Make sure that you rate and review us and tune back in next time on the podcast. We got... Brittany Collins is going to be on. India Ramey will be interviewing her. And we also have Evermore Nest, my friend Kelsey May from New Orleans will be on. And we also have Liv coming up and a few others in the pipeline. There's actually one I will announce once I confirm it. Thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And make sure you check out Afton Wolfe's new singles on your favorite streaming platform and go support him on Bandcamp or actually on his website, aftonwolfe.com. See you next time.
I was stuck down